Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to a brand new mod spotlight. This time, taking a look at a new mod that we haven't seen before, currently available for Minecraft 1.9.4 and Minecraft 1.10, because as we know, mods can work in both versions most of the time. Today we're taking a look at Roots. Roots is a new magic-based mod. It's pretty early in its development, and it's definitely being considered a beta, but having played with it, I can tell you it's pretty stable. Roots adds a bunch of cool, magical, nifty abilities. So there's a spellcasting system, there's a ritual system, and a few other things. So we're going to take a look at this work-in-progress mod and hopefully follow it through its development, because so far it looks pretty cool, and I'm very excited to see some of the other neat stuff coming up in the future of this mod. So now, let's get started. The best way to get started in Roots is to break a bunch of tall grass. And eventually you'll find yourself an old root. Old roots can be used for a lot of things in the Roots mod. First and foremost, it's used to make the Runic tablet. In addition, you can use rooty stew to get some food, and you can just eat them by themselves to get a little bit of health. The Runic tablet is pretty much your in-game guide to the mod. It shows you all the recipes and some information about how things work. So we're going to hang on to these roots for later and take a look at the Runic tablet. Ooh, fancy. There are currently 3 pages to the Runic tablet. Page 1 gives you some basic information about the natural arts that you will be exploring throughout this mod. Page 2 lists all the spells that are available through the mod, through Spellcraft, and page 3 shows you some of the rituals that are currently available. So those are the 3 pages that we can take a look at. Flipping through these pages, you'll notice that there are some nifty things to check out. First off, we can take a look at bark harvesting. This is a simple knife that allows you to harvest some bark off trees. We'll take a look at that right now because it's really pretty simple to show. The bark knife has a chance of destroying the wood block that you're right-clicking, but basically right-click to harvest some oak bark. And like I said, you have a chance of breaking that block when you right-click it. So you might get a few pieces here and there before it breaks, or it might break on its first click, or you might get a whole bunch like I am right now. Pretty much a little bit of luck based. Cool? So that is bark harvesting. We'll be using that bark in the near future. Also here in the rare materials page, you'll notice that there are several things. Old roots, which we already found. You have about a 1 in 40 chance of getting those from tall grass. Another one you get is verdant sprigs. These drop 1 in 30 chance when harvesting fully grown crops. So pretty much potatoes and wheat and carrots and all that stuff. Pretty much when you harvest a fully grown crop, you might get that rarely. So those are used for some of the crafting processes further on in the mod. Infernal bulbs, 1 in 20 chance from grown netherwort. Okay, and then finally dragon eyes, 1 in 10 chance from chorus flowers, which you get from the end. So those are some of the rare materials that you're going to want to know about. In addition, there's growth powder, which is pretty cool. This is pretty easy stuff. It basically, you right-click on dirt and it'll turn it to grass. Nothing too exciting there. Mutating powder, this is more of an end-game item, as you can see, because it requires another star to craft. But we'll check that out further along in the mod spotlight. There's also a note about some berries, which you might get from breaking leaves. The rooty stew, which we already saw, and then a healing item. This is pretty nice. It basically heals you and your wounds whenever you use it. So one of the first things you're probably going to want to check out in the Roots mod is the spellcrafting system, which is pretty neat. To get started, you're going to need 2 sets of items. First, you're going to need the mortar and pestle. Okay, mortar and pestle is what allows you to create some of the spells that you're going to be making. So those are pretty easy. I've already got them set up here. Ta-da! The other thing that you're going to want to check out is the imbuer. So the imbuer, as you can see here, not terribly hard to craft. This is what allows you to make the spells that you've crafted, apply them to sticks, and basically you get a staff that casts that spell. So we'll be checking this out in a moment. So basically you use the mortar and pestle to craft a magical dust that has the inherent properties of your spell, and then you apply that spell to a stick to make a staff in the imbuer. Pretty straightforward. And then there's modifiers, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But for now, we're going to focus mostly on some of the spells and stuff. So listed here in your Runic tablet are all the different spells that you have available. And there's a bunch of them. Some of them are beneficial to you. Some of them are harmful to enemies. There's a bunch of neat stuff that you can do with it. So let's take a look at one of the spells here, Earth Spike. That's a pretty simple spell. So you can see there's a recipe shown right here. Requires a prismarine shard, blue orchid, vines, and lapis. Let's give it a shot and see how it works. So it's really pretty easy. You place all your items inside your mortar. And then finally, you need to place an old root in there. Now, once we get to modifiers, this will be different, but the old root is the most basic form of spellcrafting. And then you simply right-click it with the pestle. Ta-da! And you've got your petal dust of spell type Earth Spike. Notice there's potency, efficiency, and size modifiers. We'll talk about those in a minute. But we've pretty much got Earth Spike ready to go. Cool. Now we need to apply it to a stick to make a staff. So simply get yourself a stick. On the imbuer, place your petal dust down, place your stick, and ta-da! We've got our first spell by way of a staff. Notice also that on the bottom right, I now have what's called Terra. It's basically your mana bar. So every time you cast a spell, it'll drain some of that, but it'll regenerate pretty quickly. Cool. Let's go ahead and cast our first spell. Simply hold right click and whoosh. So Earth Spike is a neat spell. It's a nice defensive spell, or offensive really. Just summons a big spike of earth, and obviously with some modifiers in there, it might change how that summoning looks, right? You might get more or less dirt and other stuff. So definitely worth checking out the potency, which we'll see shortly in the spotlight. Another neat spell to check out is this one. This spell is called Blistering Cold. So let's go ahead and give it a try, shall we? I'm going to apply that to my stick. Blistering Cold. Using the above recipe, you can free the cold power that is inherent in the white tulip, and gives you the ability to create a spell that will both damage and slow any target you hit. Nice. So now I've got the Staff of Blistering Cold. Let's give it a try on our favorite test subjects, a spider. So spider's coming at me. I'm going to zap him with the cold spell, and you'll notice that he's definitely slowed down just a little bit. Now let's try modifying this. Notice he also took a little bit of damage too. So let's take a look at modifiers. Modifiers are pretty easily. Basically, instead of using that basic root that we used as our final ingredient, we can use different modifiers. So first off, you've got Verdant Sprigs, which we already saw about how to make. Those give you one modifier. So if you use that instead of a root, you can have one modifier on your spell. Infernal Bulbs support 2 modifiers, and Dragon Eyes can support 3. Cool. So let's go ahead and use the Infernal Root. So as mentioned, Infernal Bulbs are a 1 in 20 chance of getting that off of any nether wart that you're growing. But basically, we'll create the exact same spell that we just made a moment ago. White Tulip, Snowball, and Birch Sapling. But now, instead of adding the old root, we're going to add an Infernal Bulb, which you have to add before any modifiers. That adds the ability to have 2 modifiers on your spell. Potency will improve the strength of a spell's effects. Efficiency will improve the casting cost, basically make it cost less of your mana, and it also increases the number of uses a spell has. And then size modifiers will improve the area of a spell, so it'll affect a larger area. So I want to have this spell be more efficient, right, with in terms of how much slowness it applies, so I'm going to apply potency. So that's just some glowstone dust. So all I gotta do is grab a little bit of that and pestle it up. Cool. Now you can see we've got Blistering Cold with a potency of 2. Nice. We'll create that spell staff, and we'll notice now that I've got 2 of these, one with potency 0. See you later, you're junk now. I've got a potency 2 one. Let's try that on our friendly neighborhood spider. Oh yeah, he is definitely slowed more now. That is cool. Seems to be lasting more too, and it definitely did a little bit more damage. So, nifty. Good luck, spider. Haha, very cool. There are a great many spells, and I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm going to do what I usually do, is make you download the mod and play with them all yourself. But there's definitely a couple neat ones that I'd like to show you. Basically, let's see, there's so many cool ones. There's regeneration, there's shielding, there's life drain, some wind type spell that knocks enemies back, spells that heal you. Let's take a look at, electric spark. That sounds cool. Lightning strike, huh? Sure, why not? All right, let's give the staff spell a try. Oh yeah, nice. Very cool. Notice, obviously, that it's using quite a bit of mana to cast that spell, but, I mean, we are summoning lightning after all. Now, some of the really advanced spells, there are 3 of them at the moment, require some of that mutating dust that we saw earlier. So, let's get some, shall we? So, mutating powder, pretty cool. Each of these has a particular way of creating the flower that you need. So, there's 3 of them. Radiance, combustion, and time stop. So radiance needs the flower of light. Using the mutating flower in the overworld, you create a shining white flower. Basically what you do is plant an oxeye daisy, and then at noon, toss down a glowstone block and 1 prismarine crystal next to it. And while under the night vision effect, use the powder on the flower. Okay, cool. So step 1, oxeye daisy. Done. We're going to want some glowstone and some prismarine. Crystals, apparently. Neat. And while under the night vision effect, right-click the flower. So I think what we'll want to do is drink this potion. Cool. Drop these 2 down, and definitely not working. What'd I do wrong? Oh, right. It's supposed to be noon. Yeah. Let's try that again, shall we? Hey, there we go. Nice. So that gave me a little bit of blindness, but I definitely got my Radiant Daisy, which is cool. So you will note that we can now use that as an ingredient to make the Piercing Rays spell, which goes ahead and does a bunch of damage to any creatures that are hit by this beam. The other 2 spells are pretty neat. Using the mutating power in the nether, you create a burning red flower. So this one you have to do a blue orchid in the nether, make a ring of netherrack around the flower, and then while under the fire resistance effect, toss a blaze rod in a lava bucket. Neat. That will make a spell that basically creates explosions wherever you're looking. And then the one I want to show you is Time Stop. This is cool. However, it's a little bit tricky to create. First off, you have to plant 2 poppy blocks above obsidian, or a poppy 2 blocks above obsidian in the end. And then while under the slowness effect, toss a coal block next to the flower and use the powder on the flower. And then you're going to need to get yourself some Dragon's Breath. So let's give this a try. So first off, we want to get this spell. I'm not going to go to the end to actually craft it, but you guys know what's involved in doing the crafting, so I'll let you use your imagination on how that's going to go. So obsidian and diamond. And then some Dragon's Breath, which I was recently informed you get by right-clicking with an empty bottle when a dragon is breathing fire at you. Who knew? And you know what? I want to go ahead and use the Dragon's Eye, which gives me extra modifiers, and some glowstone dust. And then I'm going to right-click that guy, and I've got the Time Stop spell with a potency of 3. Neat. So this is definitely a powerful ability. Let's give it a try. Stop. Haha, that is pretty cool. Basically, it stops time for all entities near you. So, how's it going, spider? Nice. And then you can feel free to attack. Oh, neat. You can only attack it once. I guess it's frozen in time. It can only take 1 bit of damage. Interesting. Cool. So, as you can see, Time Stop, definitely a neat spell. The other 2 powerful ones are neat as well, but again, I'm going to rely on you to go download the mod and check it out yourself. Next, let's take a look at rituals. Basic ritual mechanics require the altar and some incense. Pretty straightforward. There's some more advanced rituals that we're going to take a look at later on, but it's really pretty easy, so I will go ahead and show you how this works. So first off, let's build the ritual area. So you're going to need some incense braziers. These guys are cool. And you're also going to need at least 1 casting altar to get going. The incense braziers must be placed within a 9x9 area, a number that's near to my heart. And you're going to basically want to have them on the same level, so the same Y level as the casting altar. For now, I'm just going to go with 2. There's a bunch of different rituals we can do here that creates items and summons things and does a bunch of cool stuff. Let's make some basic tools. These tools will definitely be useful early on in your career, so I definitely recommend making them early on if you can. First off, we can take a look at these. So what you do and the way this ritual is laid out, I'll talk about what this bottom section is in a minute when we get to a ritual that uses it. But basically, the top section is what gets placed on the altar, and the bottom, or the middle section here, is what goes into the braziers. That's why they have that little flame symbol next to it, okay? And those are pieces of bark. So bark goes into the braziers. 1, 2. And then if we want to make a pickaxe, it's pretty much the same recipe for all 3 things. So just wooden tool plus some of those verdant things. So let's get some of them. So verdant sprig. Let's make a pickaxe. So we'll get a wooden pickaxe. And then a piece of gold. Okay, so you place the items on the altar from the top slot, and then you place the bark inside the incense altars and light those with some flint and steel. And if you've done everything correctly, all you need to do is shift right click on the casting altar. Ta-da! The magic begins, and we've got ourselves a brand new tool. After about a second or two. There it is. Nice. Cool. So the living pickaxe is very nice. It has pretty much a similar mining speed as iron. So not super fast, but it also self-repairs itself. So 187 out of 192. We'll see this guy start repairing here in just a moment. There it goes, 188 of 192. Sweet. Some of your rituals are going to require standing stones, and basically they have to be placed in a certain area around your ritual. So any rituals that do require standing stones will indicate it as much when you look at the ritual. So let's take a look at animal reanimation, for example. This is a nifty ritual that allows you to summon an animal. And to do so, you're going to need the components of whatever that animal had. So we can see down here, now we've got this thing filled out. So we're going to have to place our ritual stones around the altar. So let's set them up, shall we? So let's get the roots mod up again, and we'll get the mundane standing stones, because there are other kinds of standing stones, as you can see. And for this ritual, we're going to want them placed about 2 blocks away from the ritual center, the altar, on all sides, and then in the corners here as well. And you can see that demonstrated right here. Cool. So 1, 2 blocks of empty space, and then the third one is where. So 1, 2, an empty space, and then the third one is where the standing stone goes. So let's try it out. This should summon either a pig or a cow or a sheep or a chicken, pretty much whatever you want to summon. So let's do pig. Why not? So 2 pork chops that are uncooked and a piece of bone. And then in the braziers, we're going to need seeds and netherwort. Okay. So bone and pork chops, seeds and netherwort. Light these guys, and activate the ritual. Nice. So this ritual required the mundane standing stones. The one we had before did not. Pretty neat. And we'll see that this ritual should summon a pig for us. Hooray! Hey, piggy. One of the other things you can get from this system is a pretty nifty mechanic, is a new staff that's better than the ones we've been playing with thus far. You are going to need a stick, some blaze powder, and a block of diamond. In addition to that, you're going to need a block of coal, birch bark, acacia bark, and verdant sprigs in each of your braziers. So this one needs 4 braziers to really get going. So let's light them all up, and shift right click with an empty hand. This should get us the crystal staff, which basically allows you to have more uses, and it also allows you to have 4 different spells stored in it at the same time. Neat. Hey, there it is. Crystal staff. Cool. Let's get some spells stored on it, shall we? So to do this is actually pretty easy. So first off, I made 2 petal spell dusts, Dandelion Winds and Regeneration. 2 ones we haven't seen thus far. We're going to take our crystal staff, and as you can see in the ritual page for crystal staff, it tells you just place it on the altar with some of those verdants. So we get one of these guys. Here and here. And then into the braziers, we can put up to 4 petal dusts. So we just do that, and then light them up. 1, 2, and then shift right click. So up to 4, and it'll overwrite as needed. So if you've already got 4 on your staff, you might wind up overwriting ones. And you'll notice here that we're going to get our staff with 2 different spells on it. Hooray! That's cool. So right now it's regeneration type. Shift right click, and it'll change to Dandelion Winds. Cool. That is awesome. Other things you can do with rituals: control the weather, so start and stop the rain. Pretty neat. Fire Blast pretty much does some damage to any mobs that are nearby, lights them on fire. Pretty cool. The other thing you might want to take a look at is enhanced standing stones. So some of your more powerful spells are going to require some even better standing stones. And you'll notice that when you want to go ahead and do, for example, monster reanimation, you're definitely going to have to expand your altar's abilities. So see how we've got the basic standing stones down, but then the enhanced ones are around. And this ritual will allow you to summon monsters in much the same way that you get to summon friendly animals. Neat. you can also get yourself some pretty cool armor. So for example, Sylvan armor is nice. It uses leather armor as a base, and basically you get a nifty robe that is not quite as good as protection, but it will definitely auto repair itself, and then gives you an efficiency modifier if you're using the full set. So that's cool. You can see the cost of things here. So if we were to take a look at these, nice. Pretty cool looking armor. So that stuff will, like I said, give you basically a potency boost on all your stuff. Very cool. The other armor type here is the Wildwood armor. And if we take a look at that, we'll notice that it starts off with iron, so it definitely has like a stronger bit of resistance. And it's somewhere between iron and diamond because it also uses diamond. It repairs and increases your natural regeneration abilities, even when you're out of food. So that might be really nice. So even when you're out of food, you do regenerate a little bit if you're wearing a full set of this armor. How cool is that? And if you do have food, then you're even better off. Nice. And of course, as mentioned, the durability will auto repair. One of the other items you can craft with this ritual system are called energized stones. These are pretty much like standing stones, however, they're given a special ability and infused with it, and then you can just place the stone in the world to do certain effects. So for example, the accelerator stone will grant all nearby creatures the speed 2 potion effect. So let's take a look. You'll notice there's a bunch of them here: vacuum, repulsing, accelerating stone. Let's give it a try. Boom. Nice. What's up? So it's kind of like a beacon in that it gives you a nice little effect. I like it. Very cool. There's a bunch of different ones of these. So you can see here we've got the Entangler Stone, slowness effect. Grower Stone boosts the speed of nearby crops. Healer Stone gives you regeneration nearby. Light creatures on fire, push items away and pull items towards it. So several stones currently implemented in the mod. So for example, if we were to take a look at repulsing and vacuum stones. So vacuum will pull items towards it. So decent range. And then repulsing pushes items away, as you can see. Neat. And finally, one of the nifty weapons you can get is the Engraved Blade. In order to craft this, you're going to need a Runic foci. Basically, you create this using the following crafting pattern, and then you need to charge it up using some energetic dust from the overworld, as well as some energetic dust from the nether. So that is just another ritual to get things going. So once you've managed to charge up your Runic focus, which is going to be accelerated here in a moment. So the Runic focus can be charged, but I don't know if it's implemented yet, anything that can actually use the charged version. As you can see, crafting the Engraved Blade uses the uncharged version, it looks like. But we're going to need a couple other things here for the charged or the Engraved Blade, so let's take a look. I'm going to get those ready. So I've gone ahead and crafted a basic version of the Engraved Blade using the recipe shown here. However, we can make an even better one. So you can see right here, it's just a basic, simple Engraved Blade. Nothing too special about it. Let's make a better version. It notes in the ritual system here, during the crafting of this weapon, you can burn up to 4 different kinds of barks as additional incense to add different buffs to the sword, and we can see them here. So for Acacia bark, you basically get more damage to the sword. For spruce bark, you get knockback. For birch bark, you get 3 additional damage whenever the sword hits undead creatures, and aquatic adds some drowning damage. Shadow step here basically makes you dodge better. So let's go ahead and just use Acacia bark, because that sounds cool. So we'll get some of that, and we'll burn those in the extra 4 incense altars I just placed down. Light them up. And craft. Nice. So basically when you're making the sword, you get to add some buffs to it, and it's really neat. And guys, I think that about wraps it up for the spotlight on the Roots mod. Like I said, absolutely a work in progress mod. Speaking to the mod author, he said he has about 25% maybe of the ideas that he already has for the mod implemented, and who knows, he may come up with even more going forward. But I definitely like the feel of this mod. It's definitely cool. Very simple and straightforward methods of doing things. Lots of interaction with the world, not so many UIs and stuff like that. So definitely some cool concepts, and I definitely like the Runic tablet not only does it look cool, but it also, is very featureful. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the episode here. Hope you guys enjoyed checking it out. Definitely recommend trying out the Roots mod. Like I said, available for 1.9 and 1.10. It seems to work on both just fine. I'm playing with it in 1.10. Direwolf20 signing off. For now, take it easy.